Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. So today's second video, which is going to take us to around the 15th of July. So heading into the middle part of the month with the week to 10 day video updates now. We'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles they run to around a couple of weeks. January Friday has been released. That's a month ahead look at it. It takes us just to the very start of August. Looks a little bit of a mixed bag, but overall not too bad really. I think the trends are looking okay for July. There will be unsettled weather at times, I think, but I don't think we're looking at anything too dramatic, and but certainly no sign of a return to last year's extreme hot and dry weather that we had in July last year. Anyway, check out January Friday when you're done with this video and see what's going on. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to say a big thank you to our latest patron. So we now have 62 patrons for Gavs Weathers. Hello, and a big thank you to our 62 patrons. So Thomas has become our latest patron. Big thanks to Thomas for becoming Gavs Weathers' latest 60-second patron. Now, Thomas is the owner of Essex Weather, and this is the fabulous website of essexweather.org.uk, and do check out Essex Weather if you would like to. I'll leave the link in the description at YouTube. They produce regular weather forecasts for the Essex and East London region. So big thank you to Essex Weather and Thomas at Essex Weather for becoming our latest patron. You can also give them a follow on Twitter. So this is the Essex Weather Twitter page, and again I'll leave the link to Essex Weather Twitter at Gavs Weathers. So, a big thank you to Thomas and Essex Weather for becoming Gavs Weather's latest patron. Thanks so much for doing that, Thomas. And thank you to all of our patrons as well. You're helping to pay for Gavs Weathers. You're helping to pay for our website and to keep content online. So big thank you to all of the patrons, and also big thank you to all of our donors. If you'd like to become a PayPal donor of Gavs Weathers, all you need to do is come to the Gavs Weathers PayPal page, sign into your PayPal account, and you give a donation to Gavs Weathers. Again, you'll be helping us to pay for our website. So that's how you do it through PayPal. If you'd rather become a patron, then you just come to Gavs Weathers Patreon page, you sign up for a patron account, assuming you don't already have one. And then you can become a patron of Gavs Weathers by doing that. So that's how you become a patron for Gavs Weathers. Alternatively, there is PayPal as well. And a big thank you to all of our PayPal donors. A big thank you to all of our patrons, and a special big thank you to Thomas at Essex Weather for becoming our latest patron. Thanks so much for doing that. Right, getting on with the video. Let's start off by having a look at the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. We're looking at Manchester today, so it's a bit warmer than average at Manchester today. Going to go a bit cooler though over the weekend and into the beginning of next week. And then after that, just hovering very close to the 30-year temperature average. There's certainly no sign of any particular hot weather coming up. Neither is any sign of anything particularly cold coming up either. Just looks like we're going into a very sort of average spell of weather. Precipitation wise, a lot of dry weather on the way through the weekend and into next week. But it's going to the second half of next week. It does look as though it's going a bit more unsettled then. Could be some showers or longer spells of rain through the second half of next week. And after that, it goes a bit dry around the middle part of the month before maybe getting a little bit more unsettled again in the second half of the month. So unsettled conditions are sort of coming and going, but overall, we're not seeing signs of anything too dramatic. We're not seeing any signs of the deluge that we had last month in June. Just looks like it could be turning rather unsettled in the second half of the coming week for a while anyway. Temperature anomalies from the 5th to the 13th of July, a little bit below average, so it's rather on the cool side. It's not a big deviation, just a little bit cooler than average. Most parts of Europe looking rather cool as well. Precipitation anomalies are still coming out a bit drier than average, so any change to unsettled conditions is like later next week, really. And for the next few days, it's looking like we're going to have a lot of dry weather coming up. That's how things are looking on Monday then. On the latest GFS run, a ridge of high pressure is building through the country. That should give a lot of dry weather through the early part of next week. There could be a few showers scattered about, but I think many places will stay dry through the early part of next week. The second half of next week sees this trough developing over top of the country, so it could start to turn a little bit more showery. There's not sort of any particularly pronounced periods of wet weather here. There's very big areas of low pressure crashing in, just like we've got a shallow trough within the 500 millibar flow, but may start to pep up the shower risk through the second half of next week. But then by Saturday the 13th, we're actually back under a ridge of high pressure again. So any showers through the latter part of next week probably fading out by next weekend. As we get towards day 10, then perhaps looking a little bit more unsettled. This is Monday the 15th of July. It's 10 days away, and we are again under a trough of low pressure. But this one looks a little bit more pronounced, so that could start to produce perhaps some heavier showers, maybe some thundery downpours coming through them. In the more extended range, where we're going to be sort of back where we're neither under high pressure or low pressure really, we've sort of got weak weather patterns here as we go into the second half of July. So again, I suspect we're talking about showers rather than anything too dramatic from a rainfall perspective. Showers, possibly heavy and thundery at times, maybe a few cracks of thunder coming through. But again, it doesn't look overly dramatic either way. It's not going to be sexually wet. Neither is it going to be very dry and hot, though. There will be showery conditions at times. This is how the GEM is looking, and again we've got this ridge very close to the country through the early part of next week. Should bring a lot of dry weather through the early part of next week. The second half of next week turning more showery, but it's quite a pronounced trough there across the south on Friday. That will produce more in way of heavy showers, maybe thundering downpours too at the end of next week. That gets out of the way though as we go into the weekend of 13th, 14th of June. The ridge of high pressure is coming back, so we actually finish up with the GEM back under an area of high pressure. And again, that will give us a lot of dry, fine and pretty warm weather as well. That's how we look with the ECMWF. Again, we've got this ridge of high pressure building through the early part of next week, but there could be showers. The emphasis is on dry weather, though, through the early part of next week, I think. Then the second half of next week, we go into this cold type situation where we're neither under high pressure or low pressure. But I suspect the shower risk does increase through the early part of next week before the high pressure then starts to re-establish itself. So again, we get to day 10, Monday the 15th of July, and we're back under an area of high pressure. I don't know about you, but I think this is all looking rather encouraging from a dry and warm perspective through the early part of July. I think any unsettled weather can be rather limited up to the middle of the month anyway, and there will be showers around, but we're not seeing signs of a deluge. This is how the ECM ensembles are looking at day 10 today. So these are the options that we've got on the table from the Icelandic Met Office. This is for the 15th of July, 240 hours. We have 20 members of the ECM ensembles, including the control and the operational run. The operational run is the run we're just looking at, of course, that has us under an area of high pressure at day 10. And so that's going to be a dry and warm scenario at day 10. There's 13 with below average heights up to the north, and they're bringing in this westerly flow, so they could be a little bit more unsettled, especially for northern parts of the country. There's another 12 though that have us under a ridge of high pressure, so again that one looking pretty decent also. Jet streams pushed northwards with that one. And then there's 6 that has a mid-Atlantic ridge out to our west and a trough to the east, and so these ones will be pulling down rather cooler northerly winds perhaps, but again probably not overly unsettled. The Atlantic is blocked off, so the only truly unsettled option day 10 is probably the 13 that we have here. Otherwise I think it's looking relatively settled, just depends what the temperature might be doing in terms of position of high pressure. And when we get to 2 weeks at a time, this is the 20th of July. So again, these are the options that we got 2 weeks' time in the ECM ensembles today. 24 members of the ECM ensembles with below average heights up to the north and bring them this westerly flow. So they could be rather unsettled with those 24. But then there's 14 that have the high pressure over top of the country. That's obviously is a dry and warm scenario. Jet streams push north. And then there's 13 with a hints of northern blocking, high pressure up towards the Norwegian Sea, possibly bringing in a cooler east or northeasterly wind. So there's a few options on the table for the second half of July. But again, we're not seeing signs of anything overly dramatic here. So I think, as we said with JMA Friday, overall, the signs for July are quite encouraging. There should be a lot of useful dry and warm weather around. Not continuously dry, we can expect showers. And at times temperatures will be a bit up and down, but certainly no sign of anything really hot, but then again, no sign of anything too cold either. Finally, just having a quick look at August. So this is the 700 millibar height anomaly from the CFS V2 for August. And it's placing an area of high pressure out to the Atlantic, but ridging it through the UK and going into Eastern Europe. The jet stream is pushing northwards up there, so that looks like it should be a relatively dry and warm scenario for August. Temperature anomalies are coming out above average for the UK and most of Northern Europe as well. Could be in for quite a warm month. And precipitation-wise, of course, no signal. You very rarely do get a signal with precipitation on these charts of the CFS. But with ridge extending through the country, producing a lot of warm weather, I expect we would get a pretty dry month there. So, I mean, overall, it looks like we leave August alone because it's too far away to have any confidence in it. But I think for July, the first half, as we've been saying in videos recently, not looking too bad. There will be showery conditions at times, particularly focusing on the second half of next week for what could be quite a showery interlude. Thursday, Friday could produce showers, maybe in some longer spells of rain in there as well. Then probably going back to dry and quite warm weather next weekend, 13th, 14th of June. That takes us to the middle of 13th, 14th of July, I should say. That takes us to the middle of July. And then it's a question of what happens after that. It may get a bit more unsettled, but at the moment, we're not really seeing signs of anything too dramatic from an unsettled perspective. So the signals remain quite encouraging, I think, for July. We shall see. And don't forget to check out JMA Friday, which is the month ahead look ahead covering the whole of July up to the beginning of August. Tomorrow, we've got weekend forecast coming up for you, and also a week's 10-day video update as well. And then on Sunday, we'll have Gazzo with Sunday Roundup, and we'll also have some more autumn analogues. So it's going to be a busy weekend of updates, and keep checking back for more. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.